dagnabbit. All right, gosh darn it. All right, you son of a bitch. It's time for you to come clean. Howdy. It's time. Dagnabbit. Where's my fucking theme music, son of a bitch? So, this is what I want to say. It is time. You know what? Let me put a little theme music on for my Caucasian friends. You've been lied to for so long. Let's take it back to something you guys know. You know, before the hippity-hoppity, the bluegrass, the country, the rock. Let's go to that shit you guys used to listen to. Here we go. Actually quite peaceful. I must oblige. So, my friends, growing up in this world that you guys have created with all your lies and spells makes people that look like me darn right feel like giving up, feel like there's no hope. We're cursed people. That's why we've been destroyed, beat down to the ground. We just can't do it. We're just unqualified to be civilized. You know, that was a great story, and it sounded real good from your public school programming. And I totally understand. I mean, remember, we were segregated. Those were your schools. That programming was specifically for your Caucasian daughters and your sons. So it makes perfect sense, right? Why you would kill off my cities and my education system. Because maybe, just maybe, I don't know, but maybe through all those burnt books, we might have found some real history. Now, Mr. Charlie, let me ask you something. Remember, it's white supremacy. We're better than you guys. You guys ain't shit. You're fucking scum on the bottom of our shoes. Start that over. It's a beautiful song. Start that over. You're 3/5 of a human being because you're melanated. You're ignorant. You're a nigger, which means a lazy, ignorant person. Can't be helped. It's your whole group. Anybody who is a melanated being on earth is just unable to understand real education. Mr. Charlie, what the hell is this? Mr. Charlie, I say, what the hell is this? Shall we read? I say we shall. I need it real close up so I can read it, so I'm going to read it right here. And what it says is, from the Globe, white slavery, or selling white men for dead. June 27th, 1840. Gee gosh, Willikers, 1840. June 27th, 1840. We have received from Indianapolis a certified copy under the broad seal of the state of Indiana of the 11th, 30th, and 31st sections of the Act of 1807, approved by General Harrison, providing for the sale of white men and women in certain cases. And also the third section of an act regulating elections approved in this like manner, requiring a property qualification in voters for representatives and etc. The copy is in the following words: this. An act respecting crimes and punishments. Section 11. If any person shall unlawfully assault or threaten another in any menacing manner, or shall strike or wound another, he shall, upon conviction, therefore be fined in a sum not exceeding $100, and the court before whom such conviction shall be held or had, may in their discretion cause, told you I like that song, cause the offender to enter into recognized with certainty for the peace and good behavior for a term not exceeding 1 year. Section 30. When any person or persons shall, on conviction of any crime or breach of any penal law, be sentenced to pay a fine or fines with or without the cost of prosecution, it shall and may be lawful for the court before whom such conviction shall be had to order the sheriff to sell or hire the person. Now, I can hear people already. They're going to try to say, well, white slavery was more like doing a crime and then they get convicted, yada, yada, yada. There's multiple discrepancies, sir. See, one of these discrepancies here is that there are plenty of what you would call melanated beings who have bought their way out of slavery. For any of you who have seen the movie Posse, it clearly states that he has bought his way out of slavery 3 times. And he is what you call a Negro. So, it's not like it wasn't common for slavery to take place, whether crime or whatever, and for people to not fund their way out of it. That is a normal. Now, there's not supposed to be any white slavery, period. And this was in 1840. Here's the thing. Slavery is one thing, but educating is another. The Negro of America, or better yet, shall I say, the slave, was prohibited to read. They are not allowed to read. They are not human. They are property, and property cannot read. Therefore, they were not allowed. So, what the hell is this? Now, these are slaves from New Orleans. You got Wilson, Charlie, Rebecca, and Rosa. Now, obviously, Charlie or Wilson, which I believe, honestly, Wilson is the brother. We can clearly see Wilson reading. Now, since he is older, who is teaching who? Because he is reading. The little girls, they look like, they trying to read. But the argument remains that no Negro is allowed to read. Here's another interesting thing. Why are there white children slaves for sale? When this is in America, we know by the names, by the place the slaves are. Mr. Charlie, why do you not teach this in your public school programming? I was just forever so wonder. Are you ashamed, sir? Are you ashamed of the same thing you paraded in front of the melanated being's face all across America? Are you ashamed, sir? They were white and they were slaves. The untold history of the enslavement of whites in early America by Michael A. Hoffman II. I just want y'all to know that is a European. The guy who wrote this book is white, or so-called white. Pardon. So, I don't want you people to think that, I'm just coming off, off the cuff with an attitude, being rude and stuff, making up shit. Kind of like y'all did with us. Now, all us was inferior, and only we could be slaves because we was 3/5 of a man, and it's because of the skin, and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. Oh, everybody's been a slave before, not in America. See, we talking about paleface being a slave in America. Wait a minute, is that them next to a brother? Oh shit! Wait a minute. Is that white people in the tobacco fields? Now remember, there's a brother right there. If you can't see him, he right there. It's black and white, so it's hard to see him. But he on the right side. I believe y'all right. Yeah, the right side. You see him right there. So you got white people picking in the fields. I thought y'all was just on the porch with the Colonel Sanders outfit, drinking lemonade. I thought y'all had the whip. I thought you had the gun. I thought it was white supremacy. Nobody is greater than the white skin, and anybody that's not the pure white Aryan race is beneath us. And blah, 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 blah. Nah, that's you, Mr. Charlie. That's you. And you was a terrible picker. You only lasted 2 summers, sir. You were known to only last 2 summers. And they got all your women from the brothel. So that means some of these white people here, not saying all of them, the so-called whites, not saying all of them, but some of them here are from a prostitute stock. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. Like your foremothers, your great-great-great-great-grandmothers was some hoes. That's foul. How can you say something like that? So you calling me a liar? White slaves and tobacco plantations. Now, we heard this information before, but hold on. In the 17th and 18th century, more than 300,000 white people were shipped to America as slaves. Talking about the corporation. Eunuchs, which is castrated men, were swept up from London streets to labor in the tobacco fields, where life expectancy was no more than 2 years. Told you, they was weak as hell. Brothels were raided to provide breeders for Virginia, white slaves. So, like I said, when I say your great-great-great-great-grandmothers were some hoes, I'm not being disrespectful. Now, you could say, oh, that's not all white people. Well, wait a minute. You're not the rich ones. Because y'all ain't rich, y'all broke. You know what I'm saying? Most of y'all motherfuckers, you know what I'm saying, trying to get some knowledge and wisdom. You ain't rich. Nobody like that. So where your great grandmother come from? Came from the whole house. Came from the brothers. Here's the day why the white girl is the freakiest woman in America. We seen you on porn before. We know what you do. Oh yeah, that's something I gotta talk about later. But we seen you. You know what you do, lady. Oh, that. So let's go back to this. I says let's go back to this. Let's talk about the 300,000 that came from the 17th century to the 18th century, which is a part of the transatlantic slave trade because they came to America. Let me ask you a question again. Are you sure them 300,000 slaves that came here weren't these white people? And always remember, your slave papers have European names. There is no African names. It just says Africa on it. Like white people, like there's not Afrikaners in Africa. There's been white people now. So Africa is a white person's name. They're the ones who made that shit up. That's why Africans or the people on that continent don't call themselves Africans. That's a colloquial term. They didn't make that up. So, you bad Africans out there with your Africa and all that shit, man, save that drama for your mama, because we ain't trying to hear it, sir. And why y'all so hate Whitey, want to kill a cracker, kill Whitey, but y'all didn't know Whitey was a slave. Yuck. I tell you, I swear for God I do. It's a very interesting story, sir. So, Europeans admit through paperwork that they were selling white slaves. They also admit that 300,000 white people were shipped to America as slaves. We see from the facts that only 307,000 slaves during this transatlantic slave trade came to the corporation that we know as the United States of America. So Cuba gets 700,000, Jamaica 900,000, other Caribbeans 2,760,000, the Ghanaians 356,000, Brazil 3,169,000, and Argentina and Uruguay 92,000. Sounds like this blame y'all trying to put on the white guy is a joke, because it seems more or less that the conquistadors got more of that deal than anyone else. Now that's just me counting numbers. And since I pay rent and I have to take care of myself, that is one of my favorite pastimes is math. I cannot lie to you. And if I do the math, the only one lower than the corporation would be Europe and Argentina. But since we don't have nothing to do with those places, because that's not where we're from, and that's not where the program's at, and that's not where they told us these stories and all these fabrications about the old powerful snowflake, when at the end of the day he couldn't last 2 years in those fields. And then that's another way that we know that these fake Siberians are not the real fucking American Indian, because they can't survive Mississippi. You ain't seen a bunch of Indians, these Native Americans in Mississippi. You ain't seen them nowhere in the South because they killed them all off, right? Yeah, sure. You see them fools in them casinos, they damn near white. I say they damn near white. They don't get melanated like they're supposed to always be. Shit. I'm a woodland Indian. I'm in the snow and we're still melanated. Sun ain't even out like that. I'm still full of melanation. Maybe because it is what it is. So you couldn't last 2 summers out there I'm burning your fucking face off. It's a crying shame. But, like I said, I'm just calling balls and strikes. Nothing else much. There you go. There you are. You out there. And people can't believe these pictures. They be like, oh man, them ain't that old. Them is new. Look at their clothing and all that shit. Okay, that's fine. How do you explain this? How do you explain that? And I already broke down the law. So we know that it happened. Why you got Negroes reading to white children? First of all, why are Negroes reading? They slaves. I tell you, you city slickers this. I'm not even arguing with anybody. I'm telling people don't argue with me. Don't tell me about my Indian truth is not real when I'm showing you real that you didn't even freaking know. And they don't put it in the program. They're not going to give it to you in the public school program because, for one, you were segregated. You weren't even supposed to be in there knowing this information. And then once you got in there, what did you learn? White man's the greatest. The white man's the best. He invented everything. You was a slave. If you are not going to see that that is programming, obey, come on now. Who gave you roots? Who made sure to put that on his syndicated television? Even let you take a boule nigga with you and think it was his story, even though he had lost in court for stealing from the fucking Mr. Charlie himself. Damn shame. I just don't understand you Pan-Africans, man. I mean, you say you're so gun-ho for black people. You, Marcus Garvey, all those cats, wrap y'all all up in a big old back to Africa ball. Why'd y'all talk about white people being slaves in America? Maybe that wasn't part of your little bootleg program, right? They didn't let you say that. Huh? Cat got your tongue in your booty hole. Yuck, yuck. I kill me sometimes. I swear as I do. So I'm out. Peace. Love. I gotta go. But I do got something to say to you, Mr. Charlie. Why didn't you ever tell us that you were a slave in America? Why did you play it off like, nah, it's only for 3/5 of a man. They're not humans. Only white people can walk around here. Nah, I read the fine print, sir. It said free white people. Now, why would it have to verify that white is free if all white is free? I tell you and I tell you again, sir, because you was a motherfucking servant. And you was a weak one at that, had to get rid of you. You only lasted 2 summers. And guess what? The white boy didn't even have a dick. So when you talk about this rapist, well, I can see why. He knows his great-great-great-great-grandfather was dickless. He's not even related to him. He's related to that brothel lady, that prostitute. We read the facts. We seen the numbers. There's only 307,000 slaves that came from the Atlantic slave trade to the corporation known as the United States of America. Well, 300,000 white slaves came to America, but they don't tell us in the story. They just keep making it sound like, oh, they all came from Africa. They came from Africa. All right. Knowing when the slave trade started, there was no Africa. Africa's not even a name, and I think it's till the late 17 or 1800s. Just like dinosaurs in the 1600s, putting together bones in the ground. Yeah, he knows what he's talking about. Well, he didn't know about this, or did he? And I'm supposed to bow down and sign your fucking contracts with your devil-worshipping, fucking homosexual ritual nasty asses. You some damn fools, and I feel sorry for every one of y'all that signed them contracts just because you want to be a star. And what, a lie? People talking about reparations, and man, this is reparations. Being able to know the truth and walk around with it proud. So, next time a old evil oppressor white man wants to tell you you was a slave, I want you to look back that joker right in his face and you tell him, hey, so was your whore great grandmother. Yuck, yuck. Oh, and the descendant of the old evil great Mr. White Man over here, well, he had no problem taking his dickless cousins from the London streets because they were bums, worked them over in the tobacco fields. Some supreme race you are. Fucking idiots. But remember, that's for the racists, folks. For the people that never cared, check this shit out. It wasn't just no melanated beings. But here's the other funny thing. It wasn't just the Ottoman Empire. See, we're always talking about the Barbaric Coast in Africa and stuff. No. Your pale ass was a slave over here just as well. Thank you for joining me. Ghost.